Good evening, welcome to this week's edition of CopaLoadofRacing, where we'll be looking at the action tomorrow at Musselburgh. The big Scottish Sprint Trophy is up for grabs. We'll be looking at a couple of other races at Newmarket, Haydock and even Catterick Bridge, which is a bit of a shocker for myself. But yeah, we'll give one handicap race there a bit of a look at. Well, one of the big main news stories this week was, of course, the passing of the great Tank, of course, as he was nicknamed, the Tank, Denman, who sadly passed away this week. One of my favourite horses in terms of jumps racing, had it all in some respects, just a galloper who just galloped his rivals into the ground. Gold Cup winner, of course, beating Cato Star. Famously, that was one of the big days, one of my big betting experiences, I suppose, because I was so confident Denman would win that day, and so glad to see him do it. He finished, I think, 3 times runners up as well in that race. Won the Hennessy twice. I think 2009, possibly, was it 2009 was his best time running off top weight. Well, he ran off top weight on both occasions, but they were absolutely astounding performances on both occasions, and he really was a fan's favourite, without a doubt, and will be sadly missed. Of course, he's been retired for a few years now, but it's always sad to see the passing of one of the equine greats, and he certainly was one of them, the great Denman. So RIP to the great Denman. As I say, action tomorrow at Musselburgh, one of their big cards, the richest 5 furlong handicap, well, richest 5 furlong race there is in Scottish racing takes place tomorrow, and that is the Edinburgh Gin Scottish Sprint Cup. Of course, Musselburgh had a big weekend last weekend with Ladies' Day, and they follow that up again this weekend with another big race weekend. And now, so this 5 furlong sprint is absolutely up there as being one of the toughest handicaps you'll come across. I remember, I was 2 years ago, I think, I remember watching this race, and there was about 14 in the field or whatever it may have been, and every horse had a chance. Honestly, it's one of those racetracks where some try to all force themselves up against the rail and try to find out a space or a gap going up that rail, and they never find it. And I remember the 2 horses I backed were out the back, looking for a gap, and never found it, and they were all held up, and it was a blanket finish. It was like every horse in the race ran up to standard. It was just one of those days. But yeah, so again, we're looking at it, and it's another tough one at Musselburgh tomorrow. 14. The race goes off at 2:30. It's on STV, ITV, wherever you are in the UK. 2 horses I'll pick out. One of them is Line of Reason for Paul Midgley, who has a great record at Musselburgh, I have to say. Paul, and Joe Fanning's on board, who is always good when it comes to northern racing. This horse ran well recently at York, I felt. Didn't finish far behind El Astronaut, who's one of the big horses going into this race, but I'm going to go against it. Line of Reason, I think, has a really good chance. The ground will suit, and he won this race last year off a higher mark. So I sometimes feel that Musselburgh horses that like the track seem to come back and do well, and I think this horse will, Line of Reason for Paul Midgley, has an absolutely cracking chance. So does Moving Time, another course and distance winner. Has to be taken with a real, has to be given a real chance in this race, and as I say, seems to be in the form that of his life at the moment, under another Paul Midgley horse. Paul Midgley always seems to, as I say, have a really good run at sprinters. He's well noted for his sprinters, and this is one of them. And Moving Time and Line of Reason are 2 horses to take note of in that Scottish Sprint handicap, Scottish Sprint Cup handicap, which, as I say, is the richest 5 furlong sprint in Scotland. Right, moving to another 5 furlong sprint. This time it's a listed Achilles Stakes at Haydock. Horse I'm going to pick out here, I was going to go with Duke of Firenze, I really was. I looked at Duke of Firenze and I thought, well, why not? But I'm going to go for Sheikh Hamdan horse, Muthmir, who has won in better companies. He's won a Group 2 previously. But this is, he ran in the Temple Stakes, was it last week or a couple of weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, actually. And this is obviously a drop down in grade. Jim Crowley's come up to take the ride. I think all things falling in place, this is a good chance for Muthmir to get himself a victory. And as I say, it's a listed race, so it's a drop down in class for Muthmir, and I think he has a belter of a chance. Right, looking at Newmarket, another sprint. I love my sprint handicaps. I love my sprint races, and here's another one. This time the 2:35 at Newmarket. This is a 6 furlong sprint handicap, and Gunmetal for Charlie. Sorry, I thought it was Charlie Hill. So it's David Barron. Sorry, he's moved from Charlie Hill stable to David Barron, and ran really well last time out at Thirsk, and has taken a rise in the weights as you would expect. But I think he can cope with that and should slam home the winner. Ben Curtis takes a ride, and he himself is in good form, so I'll go for Gunmetal in that particular run. And finally, as I say, Catterick Bridge. It's not a card I would normally look at on a Saturday afternoon, but Golden Jeffrey, this is a horse that Mark Johnson used to train. He was a horse that was run over the bumpers back then, won at Ayr, I remember, in testing enough conditions, and was kind of highly thought of, never maybe materialised. He's been over hurdles and so on, but his flat great, his mark over the flat is fair enough, and I think he has a cracking enough chance in this race. Ian Jardine now trains this horse. Tom Eaves is on board, always a great fan of Tom Eaves. I think he's got a good chance here. Decent performer on the flat, and Golden Jeffrey would be my thoughts in the 4:05 at Catterick Bridge. So, if you're off to Musselburgh tomorrow, enjoy your day. I hope the thunderstorms that are forecast stay away, and you get a good day's racing. Plenty of racing on tomorrow. Not the most sparkling of race cards tomorrow across the country, but it's just one of those Saturdays, that's for sure. I'll be back again, same time, same place next week. If you're off racing this weekend, I hope you get some winners. If you're following the tips, let's hope they prove profitable. And I will, as I say, be back next weekend. Hope to see you then. CopaLoadofRacing.